Did T-Rex feed its young? Hey everyone, Mike here with Prehistoric Magazine. Welcome back to another video. Now, before we get into this video, before we get into this topic, I wanted to address something from a previous video. I read the comments, I try and write you all back. It's honestly the best part of this channel, but someone said, you spend too much time asking us for our comments. The simple answer to that is because I don't know. You know what I mean? I have never seen a dinosaur. You have never seen a dinosaur. All of the paleontologists we see online have never seen a dinosaur. Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park has never seen a dinosaur. Okay, now to the topic of the video. Again, the reason why I did that is because the comment section is so vital. It's where we learn. It's where we all come together. It's where hypotheses are tested. It's the best part of this channel. So if you're watching, I want to hear from you at the end of this video. But did T-Rex feed its young? Now, like a lot of the answers and a lot of the questions that we ask on this channel, we don't know. It's almost probably impossible for the fossil record to tell us things like that. Now, the best thing we can do is look to modern day examples. Now, by and large, from my research, alligators and crocodiles do not feed their young. Now, there are some examples online, if you Google these topics, that you'll see, an alligator or a crocodile kind of looking like it's feeding its young. But again, some of these pictures are open to interpretation. And I kind of view it like, I'll give you an example. My stance on did T-Rex feed its young is probably that it didn't, but it was a byproduct. Meaning, if an animal took down a kill, if the adults took down a big kill, I believe that they would have fed first. That was the pecking order. And I believe the tiny juveniles would have probably fed last once the adults and even the teenagers had had their fill. Now, did that animal provide food for the juveniles? Yes. Obviously they're not hand feeding them. Really, mammals are the only animal that really produces milk and feeds it to their offspring. So again, it only makes sense that T-Rex was probably not feeding its juveniles. Now, we know that they grew extremely fast. They had fast growth rates. So maybe that, this idea of growing up extremely fast in such a brutal prehistoric world would have caused them to become hunters. And the sooner the better. If they're learning to hunt right away, then that's going to be their life skill, and they're going to hopefully grow up to be a giant and, have offspring of their own. So again, my, beliefs on this question are that, T-Rex did not feed its young, kind of like alligators and crocodiles do, but alligators and crocodiles might share their food with their young. An easier example to that would be, when I was 27 or 28 years old, around the 2008 recession, I had to move back in with my mom and dad, and I lived at their house. I did not pay rent for a couple of years, and that gave me time to work some of the jobs that I was working at the time and save money. Now, my mom and dad did not give me money, during that time period, but, they gave me money other ways by not charging me rent. So I know that's probably a silly example, but again, they're not giving me money. I'm making my money, but I don't have to pay rent. So they're giving me something without giving me something. I believe the same can be said for this example. An adult T-Rex would have given to the juveniles without actually physically hand feeding it with its jaws to their tiny jaws. So I believe they would have taken down kills, and those animals would have fed after. Now, where it becomes very difficult is, to what extent. Would the adults have been greedy and not shared at all? Or would they have made, the young, really, I'm talking the really small hatchlings, the juveniles, hunt? Now, in Prehistoric Planet, when we see the T-Rex, overturn that giant turtle and it gains access to about 2,000 pounds of fresh meat, it's an incredible scene for another topic. But 2,000 pounds of fresh meat, the adult has its, feast first, and it makes the juveniles go out and hunt, and they're kind of running along the shore and acting cute and hunting insects and stuff like that. Again, it's very difficult because none of us have ever seen any of these things. Even the modern day world, alligators and crocodiles, is still confusing. by and large, it seems like they don't feed their young, but there are some people who claim that, crocodiles there may be some rare occurrences where they do actually feed their young. So even with living species, we're running into this issue. So if we're running into this issue of a little bit of confusion with current living species, imagine how hard it is with an animal like T-Rex that hasn't seen the light of day in 66 million years. Extremely difficult. If you ask me, it's probably, life is about moderation. It's probably a little bit of everything, meaning sometimes the juveniles may have gotten to feed and other times they didn't. But if you're a young hatchling T-Rex, it behooves you to learn how to hunt soon. The better you're going to be. The sooner, the better. The sooner you learn to hunt, the better off you are going to be in your quest to hopefully be a giant, a 10-ton, largest terrestrial carnivore of all time. So it behooves the young hatchlings to learn as fast as they can hunting. Now, they may get scraps thrown here and there, but again, makes sense for life to be always pushing in the direction of survival, and survival means you got to go out and hunt and not be taken care of. So that's the way I view it. I do not believe that T-Rex, fed, obviously they're not hand feeding, but jaw to jaw, that type of feeding. It may have been a byproduct of a kill. It may have been full and then the tiny ones can eat after. But I believe the young juveniles would have done hunting on their own. Insects, small game, anything to get their hands and their jaws on learning this idea of taking down prey. So enough from me. Love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section down below. And if you haven't, feel free to subscribe to Prehistoric Magazine. It's coming out in a few days, completely free at the link below. Love to have you check out the publication. So love to hear your thoughts on this. See you in the next video. Take care.